This is December 15th, 2016, Edible Acres. It's been a while since we made a video, and I just had a really busy fall and early winter, and thought we'd do a video. I'd do a video today to highlight in particular our root cellar. This is the second winter using it now, and then a couple other things about winter storage. So we're down in the basement, and it's a little hard to give you a sense of what's going on in here, but this is the beginning of our root cellar. It's a bunch of foam panel boards that I bartered with a guy for. I think I still owe him some Carpathian walnuts and chestnut trees. Do a ton of bartering for resources. But these are 4x8 insulation panels. You can see I got a couple that are doubled up here, more storage than extra insulation. But I'm going to go inside and actually show you what this is all about. Little thing I want to make a note. Seems like this video channel is starting to gain some popularity, which is super exciting. So thank you for being part of that. But I also notice as a theme, sometimes the feedback I get is that the things I do are kind of ugly or sketchy or what have you. And I'm fine with that, but I just want to make sure that people understand that what we're showing are systems that are the lowest cost, ideally reuse-based, easy to implement. You can always make it fancier and spend more money and make it nicer, but I just want to make sure people know that they can do this stuff, because if we can do it, you can definitely do it. Anyway, if my camera could zoom out more, it'd be helpful, but this gives you an idea of our root cellar. What we're experimenting with are a number of different systems for organizing and storing things. So in this case, it's cinder blocks with black locust, and let's see if we can get this to focus. These are trays of rutabagas that have their tops cut off, and then they're packed with moist deciduous leaves. That's the same thing here. We've got these low in the root cellar where it's the coldest. One thing I definitely found is that I'm going to need to bring water into here to keep the relative humidity higher. You can see that what we've got is a meter that tells you some details. Let me see if I can get this a little better. So this is like the average height in our root cellar. It's 36 degrees Fahrenheit, which is pretty close to ideal for the potatoes, rutabagas, and things like that we're storing. And the humidity is a little lower, a lot lower than these sorts of crops would ask for. They want to be closer to 90 or so. So we've got to figure out water to keep the humidity up. But pretty promising to have it that cold in here, and this is without any electricity involved. The reason this is that cold is we're in the northeast corner of the basement. You can see it's a stacked cinder block foundation. We're blessed to have a structure that we live in that has a really, it's nothing fancy, but it's a nice high ceiling basement. And blocked off, these were windows that went to the outside. This one, I think there's another video where I talk about this, I'll make a link. This goes up to feed external air up through the floor into our wood stove, which is above here. And you notice I've insulated the ceiling in here to keep this area cold and not allow that cold to interact with upstairs. This one is just blocked off and insulated. And then this window has been blocked off, but with 4-inch plastic ducting that goes directly outside with a rodent screen on it. And this just comes right in to here. Once it gets so cold, right now if you put your hand over this, it would feel like an insane refrigerator coil is on. It's just blasting ice cold air over my hand. The outside temperature today is 14 degrees Fahrenheit, and so this is just dumping ice cold air. Now it happens to be dry air because we've got winter dry air, so again I need to add water into this. When it gets so cold as to potentially freeze in here, I'll simply put plastic over this with a rubber band. And then I can open it up, and at some point maybe I'll even have a valve for it, but it can keep it as simple as that for now. And you can see this structure is simply all pallet based. I've got pallets for the uprights, and then pallets for the laterals, for the shelving, and these have chicken wire that was T50 stapled, and we've got our beautiful potatoes resting one layer thick on the chicken wire. Now these are the ones that we sorted through. Another video I can link to here, this is the result of our deep hay-based potato production this year in a historic drought. I certainly will link a video because now you can see we're in mid-December and we are basically with this root cellar pretty much in the realm of starvation proof no matter what, as long as we have access to the food in here. There's upwards to 1,000 pounds plus of potatoes. It would be a boring winter if that's all we could eat, but we have it, and that's really important to us. Just dark back in there, but these are all russets. You can see I've got trays of them, some funky looking ones, but really beautiful to eat this many potatoes. We've got some smaller, dirtier potatoes over here that we want to go through first. And then you can see there's this rack system. It's probably the most expensive thing in this whole root cellar are these two sets of racks. I got these at Lowe's. They were on sale for $60 a pop. And what I like about having some metal racks is we have the potential to store produce on here that may rot throughout the winter, and it's easier to clean and sanitize that than the wood. So we'll reserve that for potatoes, but this is for experiments and things, and also for ferments that might bubble over. You can see we've got some tomatoes that are still green. They're slowly ripening. So Goldman's, I think. Picked in October, black zebra. So we can still eat some tomatoes here or there in mid-December. We've got our beautiful sauerkrauts and ferments that are now paused because they're in such a cool environment. I mean, we're basically in a refrigerator here with all of this volume, and it's 100% passive. These tomatillo, salsa, and then we'll make another separate video about this, but this is all tallow rendered from pasture-raised beef fat. We do this on the wood stove, and this is basically coconut oil, more nutrient dense, more protein from what I understand of it, than coconut oil, and ethically it's something we can generate from our local ecosystem. So there's a place where we can barter for excess leaf fat from the processing of these pasture-raised cows. We render it down and sift it and make tallow, which we cook with extensively. And we feed our dogs stuff cooked in tallow, leafy greens cooked in tallow, and we'll be making soap with this as well. So right now we've got all of our cooking oil for the winter, high density, high nutritional stuff. It's a little getting used to, it's pretty meaty, but imagine all that cooking oil that you don't have to buy if it's in a completely passive refrigerator in your basement. And then again, some more potatoes, and then some active crock pots. We still have some more produce to bring in. Hopefully it's not too cold, but we've got some leeks that will all get the same basic treatment. These are crates salvaged from a local supermarket. You can go to the produce section and ask if they have extra crates. Sometimes they do. Then we've got these beautiful rutabagas, monstrous rutabagas that are packed in leaves. So we just collected leaf bags from people and wrapped them around, and I'll periodically water this gently to keep. Rutabagas are a crop that loves cold, as close to freezing as possible without freezing, and as high of a relative humidity as possible without being in water. So like 33 Fahrenheit and 95% relative humidity. Big learning curve for us on all this. And there's great charts online where people explain all the different crops and their different needs. So for example, we would not store our onions and garlic and squash in here. It's just simply too cold. But our root crops absolutely love it. And if we do it right, we should have fresh, wholesome, homegrown, free vegetables and sustenance from this root cellar all the way till the spring, when our high tunnels and greenhouses can start providing us fresh crops. And so there'll be a real continuity of food that we've grown ourselves and we can share and barter. I've already traded some of these potatoes for honey, some maple syrup, for lamb. So a lot of value in here. And again, entirely passive. It's just that tube dumping cold air from the outside, which I can always seal. And you can see I also have got cabbages up here with the roots, so they're going to be able to hang out a little longer. We had some of that in a soup last night. So pretty exciting. Lots more to figure out, of course, but just some food for thought of, if you've got a cold corner in your basement, to consider framing out a really basic insulation wall. And just one other thing, so the cold air comes in, and then the hot air, what I've done is created a little gap. It's very hard to show here, but there's a tiny gap along the top so that hot air can squeeze out and release into this room. So that you need a little bit of very, very faint amount of air exchange or air flow for it to work well. Let me just zoom out. You can see the door is super simple. A gasket made out of duct tape. So by no means professional. Very much DIY, scrappy. And then there's there's our door handle. That works fine enough. It doesn't swing open accidentally. And we've got a couple mouse traps in there just in case we found 1 or 2 mice that got in. Very quick, and then we'll call it a day with this video. Some other food storage in our basement. You can see we've got all of our glass jars, which are used for our vinegars and ciders, which we keep stored carefully down here. This is all shelving made out of pallets. Again, low to no cost. Egg crates for our chickens. American flag, because that was down here. Might as well leave it. And then this is more shelving as a very simple way to go. Milk cartons, and then a 4x8 3/4 inch thick sheet of ply, just cut into 4 1-foot thick sections laid across these milk crates, makes for a very surprisingly solid shelving system that is very low cost if you can get an old piece of ply or have one laying around, and it can be disassembled. There's no screws involved. And this holds vinegars and alcohol to make tinctures, beer bottles to make different herbal brews throughout the winter. We've got dried shiitakes, all of our herbs for both medicine and for culinary use. There's catnip and skullcap, mullein, nettles, tulsi, all in glass jars that come from a local sub shop where we ask them for their leftover glass jars. So those are all free as well. Ashwagandha, some different herbs. These are dried peaches. Really, when I'm in a mood for a sugar snack, that's a great thing to come and hit. Yeah, and then last, we have our shiitake stems in some jars for stock, and then caps in others. These are great because we can barter with these as well. Each gallon of this is worth $100 in barter value, which is great. And then last but not least, all the protein and fat and mineral you could want. Black walnuts, there's butter nuts in here, shagbark hickory, some pecans we traded some folks for from further south. These are all hanging in onion sacks. These should be stable down here for 2 to 5 years. So there you go. There's a root basement turned into an incredible cache of very stable, very high value, high enjoyment value food crops that we can enjoy all winter. It's our cider press back in the corner. Solar panels to move water around, and a solar cooker system. That's for another video. This is long enough. Anyway, that shows you the whole root cellar. It's about, I want to say it's about 12 feet by 8 feet, and all with foam panels very lightly framed out with wood, where I just screwed the wood into the rafters up, or the joists up above, and then taped everything over. So took a day, and it serves us incredibly well. Hope this is some food for thought as far as ways to secure more high quality food for you and your family during the winter months in ways that are passive and resilient and easy on the earth. So thank you for watching, and subscribe to Edible Acres if you're interested in seeing more videos like this, and we look forward to sharing a whole lot more with you. Thanks.